Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our top left-hand side, zeez Dipwood, our red Protoss, and in the bottom right we've got SuperWario, our blue Terran. Both players are in diamonds. I'm not 100% sure where in the diamond spectrum, but I'm going to assume in the mid-diamond realm. Red versus blue tells me that this is on the ladder, and it is Protoss versus Terran, which is a very exciting matchup on Alkaline Waste. Map that definitely favors at least 2-base play. 3-base is super easy to take, incredibly close by air, very, very close by ground. You've got the destructible rock tower that can kind of afford you a little bit of extra protection in your third. Really a macro-heavy map. But once you get to the third, it's very difficult to take your fourth. It's laughable to try to take a fifth. So it lets you stabilize. It's basically like a no-rush, 15 minutes sort of map. However, it's very difficult to go beyond that without some massive fights, and the map itself really affords you some nice chokes, really cut up terrain, and high and low locations so that your air units, so your siege tanks can really take advantage of that. Dipwood just going along the very natural pathway of throwing down a gateway first. No super early gas, no super early scout, no super early cheese coming out of him. We can see a weird location for the supply depot, a weird location for the barracks, an interesting location for the refinery as it is right on top of the gas, but early gas coming out of SuperWario. Could this be a Reaper build? It looks like this refinery is going to finish just in a couple seconds before the barracks, which means that if he gets it saturated right away, he could have that 50 gas, get out a super early Reaper. But because the supply depot and the barracks are not positioned by the wall off, Dipwood's going to have his probe in the main base in a very short amount of time. He's going to be able to click on that refinery, see that it's just now started to mine, but once the barracks is done, he's going to have 50 gas. And with that 50 gas, he'll be able to produce a Reaper. But no, it looks like he didn't want to wait the short amount of time that it was going to take him to get that 50 gas. There it goes. And he's going to produce a Marine right away, and that means that Dipwood doesn't have to deal with that pesky Reaper harassment. It's pretty popular. I mean, Reapers are really well designed now. I like the changes that they've made, making it so that the Reapers can regenerate, can kind of serve as a dual purpose, mostly as a scout though, and I absolutely love that because it was too often that the crutch of Terran was that you'd have to choose between minerals with those mules, or do you want to choose a scout? You want to blow that on a scan and actually see what's going on inside your enemy base, especially if the Protoss decides to wall off. However, Dipwood did not. SuperWario gets in there with his SCV, sees the double gas. What is he going to do with all that gas? He's got the Cybernex core down already, but he's spending it on a Mothership core as well as a Stalker app. It's a very cool decision. Speaking of scouting, Mothership cores are very handy for that. The Stalker's going to be popping out any second. However, with the SCV making a quick circuit, decides to check out the Nexus at the natural and then get out of dodge. I don't think it's going to survive though, because this Stalker is awfully fast, faster at least than the SCV. Where is he going? Oh wow, that was a cool, clever play. He's trying to lose him in the brush. Did not work, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. That Stalker has a +1 to his kill count and is going to be moving off down. Still no wall off at all. We do have a factory. They're going to be taking advantage of the reactor that was constructed on the barracks, and a starport going up right next to this. So this is beginning to look like that Widow Mines on the production tab. It's still a little too early to say, but it's beginning to look like that Marine Widow Mine medevac kind of composition that's been very much in vogue, very powerful, very difficult to deal with, just because with proper micro, those Marines can just run back into that Widow minefield and do just devastating damage whenever you kite them. It's far more effective against Zerg than it is Protoss, but with the recent buff to the Widow Mines and their ability to do damage to shields, it's significantly more powerful. Widow Mines being a little bit shy, they need to get up there and protect these supply depots. The range on the Mothership core is absolutely nothing, and if those Widow Mines can get up there, they can really do a lot of damage to it. In fact, it's only going to take one more to take them down. Dipwood knows that. He's going to be retreating with his pristine Stalker and his Mothership core that has seen better days. Anything from the tech lab? Nothing from the tech lab just yet, but we do see an early robotics facility off of just one gateway. Is there a second gateway? There is a second gateway getting thrown down, as well as a forge, looking like Dipwood wants to spin down that extra gas. And he's got a little probe position down by the natural. Wants to be taking that Nexus too. Hey, you had 400 minerals, why not, right? He's got a command center also on the production tab for Super Wario. Looks like he wants to take his own natural, and that's not going to be very difficult for him because 4 Widow Mines on the field means that he's going to be in a very strong defensible position. But we don't have any upgrades started right now. I don't think Super Wario is going to be in position to do any damage. We have a Viking popping out, which is a very peculiar choice. Normally I would expect to see this from a bit more of a meching player, but I'd also expect to see earlier expand. I'd expect to see earlier gas and more factories just in general. And yeah, not 2 extra barracks. I don't get this. It could be that this is a misclick. This is supposed to be a medevac, and if it is supposed to be a medevac, that would make sense because you've got 4 Widow Mines out there right now. You load all 4 of those up into a medevac, you drop them off into a mineral line, you do quite a lot of damage. As things are now, the 4 Widow Mines are going to be burrowing at just the right time for the photon cannon to finish with its static detection, repelling all of those Widow Mines. I don't think he lost a single one, though, which is a pretty good play coming out of Super Wario. But with this observer on the field, there is no place for those Widow Mines to hide. They're getting repaired up by those SCVs, but yeah, there is no location. Even over here is still within range of the detector, if not range of the cannon from the photon cannon. And even if it wasn't, the observer is right there. These stalkers outrange them, and with only 1 or 2 marauders on the field, there's not a lot they can do. The mothership core does go down, though, just because of its terrible, terrible range. Single marauder on the production tab, no add-ons being thrown onto these barracks. I think this is a transition into a bit more of a traditional that composition that I was talking about earlier, the Marines with the Widow Mines. Maybe it looks like he's factoring in a lot more marauders, which is kind of peculiar. It looks like a run-by with these medevacs, these Widow Mines. He really wanted to get these Widow Mines into the mineral line. And that's just unfortunate because he has the mobile detection from the observer, is going to have absolutely no issues. The new mothership core has popped out. The single shot from the Widow Mine does absolutely nothing except for takes out a single probe. Depressing. Absolutely depressing. Poor Super Wario having to retreat, having lost a massive amount of units as well as resources, and some very, very good economic advantage for Dipwood afforded to him. 31 over 25 harvesters. The orbital command just now finishing down at the natural. Super Wario, if he wants to, he can focus on his macro, really focus on getting back into this game that way. Maybe now that he's got a medevac out, he can start working on those drops. He is starting to work on those upgrades. Stem is on the production tab. A lot of marauders, too. A very peculiar choice. I like it. I do like it because we see a lot of stalkers out in the field. Marauders do quite a lot of damage to those stalkers. However, you can get outmaneuvered by that. You start to throw in a lot of extra zealots. You start throwing a lot of extra colossus, something that can start to tank it. Maybe this immortal coming out of the robotics facility. There's just a lot of weaknesses to the pure marauder play, and it's not nearly as mobile as the Marines. If it's supported by the medevacs, though, and supported by the Widow Mines, there's absolutely no reason why it couldn't work. I do like it. I do like it. I have mixed feelings about it. Double reactors or refineries going down, which Dipwood is now aware of because of the good placement of that observer. Needs to queue it up on one of these medevacs, though, just in case there's going to be a drop, which I suspect there's going to be because Super Wario is really setting them up for some very nice drop play. Single siege tank out on the production tab. I would expect to see more production just in general. We see that the Stargate is completely silent right now. I don't know. I think he's just waiting for all these upgrades to finish before he pushes out and does just a little bit more damage. On the other side of things, Dipwood has a very nice unit composition back at home. It looks like he's making moves like he wants to take a third. He's really setting himself up for the tech. I love the positioning of the photon cannon behind the mineral line. Behind the mineral line, absolutely fantastic. Really nice placement of the pylon, too. Is just aware that he's going to be up against drops. He should be up against drops. Let's be honest, Super Wario should be doing drops like a mad, crazy person right now. And he's not, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. But because of that, Dipwood has this really nice placement. The pylon behind the mineral line is going to have a photon cannon there, I suspect. Good detection over here with the pylon position there just to spot that early drop. A lot of people will throw down their units right here just to queue them up. Second forge just for some extra upgrades. I'm assuming the robotics bay is done. Hopefully we're going to see some Colossus out on the field, which would actually work in the favor of Super Wario because he's got a handful of Vikings. He's got another Viking on the production tab, but he's got that reactor on the starport and he's just not using it. I'd love to see that reactor on one of the barracks throwing in extra Marines. You can spin down some of that extra money you have. You've got extra gas. You got to start using it. Gotta start using it. Oh, no, that's Protoss. You've got extra gas, too. You should use it, too. He's got a second Nexus on the way. He's got the second robotics facility, so he is going to start using it in a relatively short amount of time. But Wario's got extra gas, too. I want to see some extra something. He's got the armory on the production tab, but I want to see an extra factory. I want to see 1 or 2 extra barracks, just so I can see that nice, healthy stream of units whenever Super Wario decides to move out. That constant reinforcement is really just what makes Terran so incredibly dangerous. Protoss is capable of reinforcing in waves, whereas Terran is capable of reinforcing in this constant river. And it's that river of destruction that makes it so intimidating, is you never really catch a break with that. First Colossus is on the production tab. We have the Templar Archive also coming out from Dipwood, so he's doubling down on that AoE. However, the 4 Vikings are out on the field, and yeah, those Vikings are not going to have an issue with that Colossus. With proper micro, with keeping his units close to the siege tank line, Super Wario is going to be able to do quite a lot of damage. +2/+2 on the production tab, +1/1 is already done. He's also got Stim, Marauder, Slow, and Combat Shields on all of these units. This is going to be a very intimidating push, and Dipwood knows it. He's retreating away from that siege tank line, but Super Wario beginning to kite him back. The Colossus taking quite a lot of damage, as well as the Mothership Core. There goes the Slow, but both the Colossus and the Mothership Core, wow, the entire Protoss force just melts away. Super Wario doing an impressive amount of damage with all these Marauders, just taking so much damage, and then the Medivacs up high above, not having to worry about any of the anti-air. I don't know if you caught it, but the Stalkers actually blinked forward into the siege tank line trying to take them down, but they were immediately distracted by the Marauders, and those Marauders just doing so much damage. The Colossus is now out on the field again, but the Viking count is unabated, and it's going to target it down again. 1 volley, 2 volley, 3 volleys, 4, and there goes the Colossus, dead once again. The Marauders having a very hard time against the Immortals. 3 Immortals are on the field, 2 more are on the production tab. Everything else is just getting shelled away by all those siege tanks. Super Wario doing a fantastic job kiting back the units into the siege tank line. Neither player really wants to engage near the choke or near the choke, respectively. Dipwood continually trying to produce those Immortals, really doesn't want to suicide that Immortal into this mix, but he's not making anything else. Are all of his units on cooldown? I guess it is. The Warp Gates are on cooldown, and he just doesn't have enough. He's got 1 or 2, 3 more gateways on the production tab, but it's a little too late. Right now he's going to have to deal with the fact that he's got 2 robotics facility. He can produce 2 Immortals at a time. Those Immortals are trying to target down those Marauders, but man, those Marauders being so incredibly cost effective against those Immortals, especially with their slow, especially with their stim, especially when they're supported by 3 Medivacs, 1 per Marauder. Really cost effective. Now that he's got some gateway units up, there goes the blink. Got to be very careful with this if the Viking really wants to kite that Stalker back into the siege tank line. It could be a dead Stalker very quickly. Super Wario is holding back on the aggression, which is a mistake. I want these siege tanks to move up to the top of this choke so that he can start shelling them down whenever all the Protoss units are kind of balled up in this choke. Dipwood realizing this, pushing forward. There goes this scan, seeing that the Observer is indeed there. Oh, but the Viking moving forward, and with no anti-air, that Observer looks like it's going to go down. No, it just barely escapes the field of detection. Super Wario is going to be scratching his head over that. Oh, pushing forward into the choke. Got to be careful. With the Mothership Core now on the field, she doesn't have enough energy for the slowdown just yet, but that time bomb could be incredibly devastating if it does manage to land in the choke. More Stalkers being thrown down, and that Viking is super low health. Doesn't manage to even do... Oh, yeah, it does quite a lot of damage to the Mothership Core, but it doesn't manage to take it down. And again, Super Wario being very passive. He had the chance to take down that Nexus, but I think he's going to be repelled now that 2 or 3 extra cycles have gone down. 2 more Immortals are on the production tab, but with so many Immortals out on the field, it looks like Super Wario is going to have forced to do a fast pickup or a hot pickup and quickly retreat with those Medivacs. The Vikings too. Ultimately not a wash. I think he did quite a lot of damage. He switched over to the units lost tab. Look at all those resources lost. And he kind of forced Dipwood away from the Colossus that he was trying to construct and wasting quite a lot of money on so many Immortals. Really weird to see all these units just kind of hanging out in the middle of the field. We can see that trickle. Unfortunately, every single one of those ground units are going to go down, but I think Super Wario is now aware of the fact that he's going to have to retreat. He's got a planetary fortress at his 3rd, and it is fully saturated. saturated. Speaking of fully saturated, so is the third for Dipwood, and Dipwood is taking a fourth, which will be absolutely devastating to Super Mario if he lets that go up. Single Colossus on the production tab. Remember, he has 2 robotics facility, constant repair on the planetary fortress, but with so many immortals shelling it down, I don't think that planetary fortress is going to survive. But oh no, Dipwood pulling back just one volley too fast, pulling into the choke, and then deciding to engage. A mistake. He's going to lose every single one of these units if he sticks around for too long. Super Mario had enough time to reconstruct, and look at this. Look at how many Marines are added into this mix. I love it. I absolutely love it. Chasing down these units, doing quite a lot of damage. We don't see any kiting at all, but with such an intimidating ground force supported by so many medevacs, Super Wario definitely has the superior force right now, but this is going to be a problem for him. 2 more Colossus on the production tab. We don't see any Vikings being produced back at home. Some misrallied units just kind of hanging out there. The siege tanks are now back out. Super Wario needs to do something fast, though, because that 4th is almost up. It's almost finished. And if that 4th hits the ground running, Dipwood's going to find a way to spend all this money, I'm sure. Who am I kidding? Dipwood does not need a 4th. He just needs to spend all the money he has, and he is. Bless him. He's got a +3 ground armor. He's got Storm. He's got shields on the way. And he's producing Colossus 2 at a time. I like it. I like it a lot. +3/+3 also coming out on the field from Super Wario, but man, Wario has not had a chance to do the damage necessary. He needs to start doing those drops. He's got the ground units. He's got the medevacs. He's just missing the APM right now. He needs to push out and start doing damage here. Despite the photon cannons, so many Marauders will have absolutely no issue with the 2 photon cannons defending this Nexus, and 3 medevacs filled with Marauders will absolutely melt a Nexus in no time at all. But with 3 Colossus now on the field, a High Templar added into the boot, the Zealots are simply there to hold the Marines in place so that they can get wailed on by the AoE. Extended Thermal Lance just now getting started, which is weird. I thought Dipwood would have started it earlier, but look at this. He's managed to spend down every ounce of money. He's beginning to saturate the Nexus down in the bottom left-hand corner, so Dipwood hits, if he can manage to hold off this impending push from Super Wario, will be in a fantastic position right now. The charge is also on the production tab, but +3 is going to be finishing on the weapons, and I think that that's what Super Wario is waiting for. He doesn't have a lot of siege tanks, but I think he's going to be focusing on the mobility of his units. And Dipwood's kind of in a nervous location right now. He has to defend the 3rd, but he also has to defend the 4th in the bottom left if that manages to get scouted. I don't think it has. We're hearing a lot of scans going out from Super Wario. He wants to know where that observer is because he believes that there's one on the field, but oh, there is. Where is it? Oh, it's back at home. I don't know what he's expecting to worry about with that observer. Maybe Widow Mine, since we saw them so early in the matchup. Super Wario reveals that his army is moving to the bottom left, but with 2 bunkers positioned, which is kind of weird. I think he's expecting Dipwood to actually push into this, but Dipwood is more than happy to sit back, relax, and macro up. Here comes the push forward. Oh man, targeting down that Nexus. It looks like that Nexus is going to fall, but with the Colossus getting the flank, 4 Colossus shelling them down, just 3 Vikings in the air, those Vikings are going to have a very hard time trying to focus down every single one of those Colossus before all the anti-air is down. Yes, that Nexus goes down, but all those probes have to do is transfer to the bottom left-hand side. Here comes the push again. Oh, man, so much AoE being shelled down, but those medevacs in the air are beginning to get focused out. Also, was that a feedback I saw on one of those medevacs? I believe so. So many storms. Oh, my goodness, and this is what Dipwood was waiting for. He was just waiting and waiting and waiting. There goes the feedbacks down on those medevacs. Great play there. Not a lot of units left for Super Wario. He's going to have to retreat, going to have to go home. He has managed to take his own 4th in the top right-hand side, but Dipwood has a just intimidating army. Man, using every single one of his units to the fullest of their potential, spending down all that extra energy from the High Templars in the form of those feedbacks, and then immediately morphing them into the Archons. He's managed to keep alive the majority of his Colossus, and is continually replenishing his ground army. You can see all those Stalkers that were recently warped in. We don't see anything on the production tab from those robotics facilities, but that's okay, because he's going to be spending everything in those High Templars right now, because that's really going to afford him some high mobility. He has managed to get a proxy pile on the bottom left, but he's electing to push into the top right, which is an area he cannot really reinforce himself in. But with such an intimidating army, that Wario at 90 with so much extra gas but just not a lot of minerals, I I gotta say it. I mean, I think this game is over. I think Dipwood is definitely going to take it. He's got so much AoE. He's got such an intimidating ground force. All he needs to do is land a handful of storms, or maybe even a handful of volleys from his Colossus. There goes the single siege tanks. Everything is just standing and fighting and taking the brute force from Dipwood's ground army, and everything's at 3-3. This is brutal. Absolutely brutal. Super Wario tapping out. I feel like Wario had a good build order at the start and got flustered. I feel like he produced 4 Widow Mines and a Viking, and that meant to be a medevac, and that just threw him off his game completely. This was a natural transition if you consider he wanted to play drop play, but because he couldn't do that drop play, because he had to sacrifice 6 Widow Mines just to try to do some damage to the economy, just really set him so far back that it was an unwinnable situation from then on. And I think that's because Super Wario didn't want to do drops. Even though that Viking was produced, if he had doubled down, produced 2 medevacs, dropped the natural, which he knew existed, as well as the main, that would have split Dipwood pretty thin. And he had some really good timings. He had the stem, he had the combat shields, he had the Marauder slow, all finishing at pretty much the same time. Was in a good situation. But because he wanted to do that big ground army, who wanted to do that really, really big force, that brute force push up the center, that really wasn't playing to his strengths. And I think that Dipwood played to his. He sat back and macroed. He had an army sitting on his doorstep, and he's like, that's fine. No, you don't want to do anything to my real estate. I'll sit right here, and I'll macro up into an intimidating force, and then just steamroll you. And that's what Dipwood did. Poor Super Mario. Poor Super Wario. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary.